to identify expectations for the 8th grade in your exit slip at the end of class. So it's going to have to be pretty quick. But we also need to practice some of my expectations around what it sounds like in here. So as we go, we're also going to practice what silent study looks like, what presentation looks like, what partner looks like, and what group looks like. So far, you guys are doing an excellent job of modeling Charles, or on you, what presentation, talking, and presenting look like. So begin. Today is all about high school. Even though you're still in 8th grade, today is the first day of academic classes that high schools will see when they're deciding if they want you. It's also the first day that I can start adding to my collection of what I know about you that I can add to your high school recommendation letters. So really our big goal for English starting now is that you are 1 year from now in the high school you wanted to get into, and that you're sitting in an English class that has a giant syllabus full of really hard work, and that you can say, I'm really ready for this. Like, I'm prepared, I'm a little bit scared, but I'm prepared. I know I can do this, and that you're there. So that's really our big goal for the year. Revision in advance, great, but that's like a given. It has to happen. It will happen. Being at a great high school, that's what we're striving towards. So I kind of broke down each value and talked about what it's going to look like in English class this year. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about each value, what I'm expecting, and then we're going to practice one of these 4, and you're going to tell me what that value looks like and what that value definitely does not look like. Like, what would be a behavior that would not be meeting that value in English class. So to begin, respect. Now you've heard the whole spiel that I have kind of at the bottom, which is what it means to be nice. You know, body language, words, participate, give help, get help. That's you've heard now for a few years. I'm going to add something into respect that's a little bit different. And that's this word sacred. And I define it right under the word respect. Because sacred means to be honored and never disrupted. Normally we use this word to apply to like church. Like there are sacred songs that are only sung in church because they're special. There's also like a sacred silence in a library that no one ever breaks. And it's because for some reason our culture, our society has decided that those places cannot be disrupted and they need to be honored. And I feel that way about my classroom. Like, I feel like this is sacred space because your education is sacred to me. Like, I'm holding it up, like almost as if it was like a religious issue. It's that important because it's sacred, because it's you and it's your future and it's important. And it's got to be honored and it's got to be respected. So, one of the things that's really important to me is minimizing disruptions to your sacred education. So just the way that it would be really not okay if someone like walked into church like blaring music or disrupting what was going on, it's really not okay if you disrupt anyone else's learning. So that's why I'm going to be very clear about what I expect as far as what it sounds like to participate in class. So the first type of participation is silent study. This really only happens during do now and exit slip because it's when you're dead silent and you're doing work completely individually. But that really only happens during exit slip and during do now. The next type is what you're doing right now, which is presentation. And this is going to happen where I'm presenting and when you guys are presenting. And I have to track you. And I have to be the audience. But right now, you're the audience, you're tracking me. DeMarcus, are you with me? Remember what I said about your hands? Thanks. Okay, so you've got to track me and be a great audience because this is really a lot of what high school and college instruction looks like. A lot about presentations and being able to get information from people who are presenting it to you. The next type, I'm going to try and do absolutely as much as possible, which is partner, which means that you are speaking so that just the person next to you can hear. And the last is group, where you're speaking so just the 3 other people who are working with you can hear. And again, this minimizes disruption and keeps your learning sacred, honored and important, and not to be disrupted. Now, I will make a note about partner and group work, what they sound like. I made a mistake last week in professional development. We were doing a competition. We were like working, teams of 2 teachers versus other teachers, and Miss Maxwell, Mr. Doherty, and I are all really, really competitive and like to win. And I, of course, being a very loud person with a loud voice, and I know this, I should have known better, I was talking to my partner and I said all of the answers really loud. And so the smart team behind me wrote down all of the answers. When you're working with your partner in your group, make sure you're keeping your voice inside your group. You work really hard to have your thoughts, and you should get credit for them. Everyone else shouldn't. So not only does this mean that you're not disrupting anyone else's learning, you're also not giving away what you know. And that's something really serious to me. My learning belongs to me. If I have a great idea, I want to get credit for it. I want it to be in my group. So those are the big ideas for silent study, presentation, partner, and group. James? Okay, great. Because you have a chance to practice the first one right now. So using silent study expectations, I want you to tell me what one thing, it doesn't have to be a big deal. You have 1 minute to tell me one thing that you can do to show respect in English class. I also want you to tell me one thing that you will not do in order to show respect in English class. Now, 1 minute, the expectation is silent study volume. Okay, about 30 seconds. Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pencils down. Brianna Hill, what will you absolutely not do in order to maintain respect in English class? One thing. That you will absolutely not do. This would not be exemplifying respect in English class. Okay, but that's not something that we talked about explicitly. I agree that not paying attention would be very respectful, but it definitely gets an achievement, I think, a little bit more. Charles, can you help out?
While you watch someone else's, you give it an answer.
Yeah. Thank you. Really good point. Talking quietly or whispering while someone else is presenting or giving an answer, it can be super distracting. And also, when it's really important for your notes, you want to be able to hear what that person is saying, and if someone else is whispering behind you, you might not be able to write it down. Christopher, what's one way you will show respect in English class?
Sitting up straight and not trying to fall asleep or something.
Well, this is also true. Like I said, I think that's more about your individual achievement. What did I say that word sacred meant? What does that mean? What does that word sacred mean? How is that important, Corey? Yeah, to not be disrupted, to honor everyone else by not disrupting them. So to me, respect, a big part of that is minimizing disruptions, so to maximize your learning time. All right, like I said, it's going to go pretty quickly, so we're going to move on to achievement. We're going to see if by the end of it, you're going to be able to practice partner expectations.